This so-called comedy film was released on January 16, 2015, where it depressingly tripled its $23 million budget under Jeremy Garelick's direction. The extremely busy Kevin Hart stars in the title role as a best man for hire who becomes emotionally involved with his latest client, Josh Gad, an awkward and friendless millionaire looking for something more. Explaining his reasoning for dropping a middle-classer's yearly salary on an underhanded prank, Gad proclaims, "I want my real life to be as fun as the one I made up." Honestly, it plays out like a very typical rom-com narrative, except it's about a couple of mismatched dudes instead of a guy and a girl. Hart and Gad are both veterans of this type of lowbrow work by now, and while they're passably enjoyable characters, it's the premise itself which is so grating and annoying.
Doug, in the future, if somebody asks you something that boxes you in, you boomerang it.
Boomerang?
You respond with either a compliment or a question. Compliments are for women, questions are for men. So if I were to ask you something about Vic that you and I haven't discussed, what would you say, Doug?
You're very handsome.
Thank you, Doug. That's a compliment. Compliments are for women. Questions are for men. You throw out random words.
You're confusing me a lot right now.
You use random words that would distract them from the original question.
Random words.
We have 18 hours to prepare for this brunch with the Palmers, which means we have 18 hours for a shotgun intro. Let's get to work.
A certain amount of disbelief is understandable, but the "let's use $50,000 to trick the woman I'm about to marry into thinking I have a gaggle of dysfunctional friends" is downright insulting and ridiculous. It doesn't help either that the victim on the other side of this equation, the cute Kaylee cuoco-sweeting, is irredeemable herself. And while The Hangover proved it is possible to have a successful comedy despite being filled with unlikable and conspiring characters, this R-rated farce has no such luck. The 101-minute story has, at best, 3 jokes that actually work, thanks entirely to Hart's quick and witty delivery, and never the unbelievable script itself. A quick reference to Lost from Jorge Garcia that caps off the picture was pretty funny though. An extended mud-covered game of football with a group of old-timers, including an inspired appearance by Joe Broadway Namath, is a decently fun sequence, but it has zero relevancy to the rest of the story, and seems to exist only because Garelick wanted some physical comedy in this picture. The only dynamic that isn't painful to watch is an underdeveloped romantic subplot between Hart and one of his bridesmaids, played by the curious Olivia Thirlby, who quickly begins to suspect this gentleman isn't what he seems. The summation of their trickery and deception is a PowerPoint presentation during the rehearsal dinner, where Hart and his employees showcase a string of poorly photoshopped images that make Gad's pitiful life seem more exciting. Not only would this charade fool no one, what's the endgame here? Going through life that wasn't built on a single lie, but an entire nest of preposterous bullshit? The drawn-out conclusion that sees all of these lies clumsily being revealed is handled well enough, but by then any interest I had in seeing these characters be nice to each other was gone. With nothing impressive about the technical or visual aspects of this movie, the only folks who might get something out of it are staunch fans of Hart, but let's be honest, he's in like 7 movies a year, so you're probably better off watching anything else. The Wedding Ringer is a mean-spirited chore with unpleasant characters. I thought it was a bad film.